Hi, Shirley here, and today I'm doing another episode of Spirit of Matter. I don't even remember what number of episode am I in. Is it 9, probably? And this episode is about Stephen Hawking. So I like to challenge myself, and this will be another episode where I just look into Wikipedia. I know only a little about this person. Maybe I saw some interviews with him and I remembered and forgot. So I will look right with you into Wikipedia, read, try to make predictions. I was so happy that we have his exact birth details, including exact time. It is so exciting to have these details for people who might not believe in astrology. Because without data, there can be no fruitful conversation, there can be no predictions, there can be no science, right? No, it's not going to be. We will never be able to do double-blind RCTs with astrology. We will never be able to completely isolate one parameter and test only that. We cannot do that with medicine either. I'm saying this as a holistic medicine practitioner. And so the idea for this episode actually came as I was writing to school with my teacher. And we were talking about, I told her about Spirit of Matter. And then suddenly I had an idea to do an episode about Stephen Hawking. And I saw him in green. I don't know why. Green in terms of chakra relation to light and colors, it's actually heart chakra. It means healthy heart chakra. I was also thinking of green as alien energy, like Green Man. I don't know if that's anything to do with that, but that was interesting. And she was so happy. She was like, "Oh, he invented AI. He's so intelligent, and that would really be fascinating to do an episode about him." So I do this. Before this episode, I sniffed actually a tiny blend that I advised someone to take, and it had elemi and orange. I always like to have a taste of my own medicine, so I sniffed it myself to see what frequency am I advising to a person to take. And it has, I really like the word cohesion. I snatched it from the cast when they talked about Jupiter. I think it was Austin, probably Austin, who used that word for Jupiter. And I was like, cohesion, because I used to use integration. Um, but then cohesion is something that, when I think about the union of yin yang with Elemi, it's really that inner cohesion. And I love this. Just saying these words like inner cohesion is something so um, balancing and cohesive. So I wanted to give that frequency and adjoined with orange. That's a solar. I know I spoke about him as Jupiterian because he deepens the breath. And that's a very solar. That's a solar energy. So joy and together they really increase oxygen absorption. What I really like about Elemi, it has both monoterpenes, which deepen the breath and are considered middle notes, and it has sesquiterpenes, which are the larger molecules. And the larger the molecule, basically the slower the oil works and the deeper its effect and long lasting. It's the most Saturnian of all. No, it's not Saturnian because it's not cold and dry. It doesn't work, one in one that way. But it is a long process, that deep, maybe cell regeneration. I don't know. And the combination of these base node, the base is the larger molecules and the middle nodes, and deepening the breath kind of allows for the process to absorb and to stay in the body. So I really like the energy of these oils. And now, without further ado, let's share the screen and get to predict stuff. So Stephen Hawking, yeah, he was theoretical physicist, cosmologist, Director of Research, Cambridge. Okay, so he was born in Oxford, UK. In January 42. Family of doctors, so family of doctors, came from a family of doctors. Early education, at the age of 17, he received a BA in physics in, okay, PhD in math, so he did cosmology, so of course math, theoretical physics, general relativity and cosmology. So general relativity is the theory that applies to, I think, when the system approaches the speed of light. So not the specific one, but the general one, and cosmology. So this is very big. I would expect something very expanded either in the 12th or the 9th. I've learned that the 12th has a lot to do with what people would bring from unconsciousness. So he had a nervous system issue. So nervous system, I'd expect, of course, either Mercury or Uranus or both, harshly aspected, harshly placed. And he got paralyzed, so the nervous system got to the body, maybe even a Mercury in the first, something of the first, because it's the body, so the first house being harshly aspected in relation to the nervous system. Yeah, either something with the rulers where Mercury is and the first house is something like that. Lost his speech. So speech is throat chakra. Speech is Mercury, but I would say, when speech is, yes, we consider astrologically speech is Mercury, but here, as a holistic practitioner, throat chakra, sex chakra. So it can either be he's something that blocks or impairs the throat chakra. It can also be something related to sex chakra. The sex chakra is not just sex, it's relations, it's fertility, it's creativity, it's the water chakra. I know in the chakra system it can be related to Jupiter, because those who ascribe chakras to planets, they put Jupiter in the second chakra and Mars in the third, in the solar. So those could be harshly aspected. And he communicated through technology. So the use of technology to help the body. So the remediation is the use of technology to help the body. That would mean that those planets that are harshly aspected, like Uranus and or Mercury, would receive help from somewhere, because they're technology and they're receiving help from somewhere. So where would they receive that? Well, where would they receive that help from? It means that we're probably a harsh aspect and harmonious aspect to these planets. So use the hand switch and then a single cheek muscle, so muscle memory. Muscle memory, so I would say whenever I see muscle memory, I think physical, I think Mars. Perhaps I'm mistaken to think that way, but I think about the density of the muscles, and Mars is quite dense, it's quite young, and that would mean, dense matter, and muscles are also, the warm, yeah, muscles I would definitely see as Mars, right? For example, Mars in Taurus can give a muscly body. So yeah, cheek muscles, cheek muscle. Why the cheeks? It's interesting. So Hawking's scientific work, gravitational singularity theorem. Gravitational singularity theorem, where gravitation produces singularities. So singularity, okay. Singularity relates to black holes in the sense that, okay, with a black hole, and I could be eschewing reality here, so I'm very open to be educated and corrected and fixed by people who know the topic in depth. Point of singularity is where the black hole is created or is existing, because it vacuums everything in, so everything gets condensed to one point, and then we don't know what happened, but that's where the black hole is. The theory is that it gets condensed into one point that is the point of singularity. And black holes emit radiation. So radiation was controversial initially. The idea that black holes emit energy and not just absorb or vacuum energy in, so that there is something going in and something going out. I try to think, black holes, points of singularity, something very condensed. I think Pluto. I don't know. Maybe in the 9th. Okay, publication of further research. His discovery was accepted widely as a breakthrough in theoretical physics after the 70s. So he was born in 42, the 70s, so 42, he would be 32. He would be 32 when this research is accepted. That would mean that he would be after his Saturn return, and he would get publication. What else happens around 32? Right? Mars matures at 28. Saturn maturation. Maybe a perfection year. I don't, what perfection year is 30? Okay, what perfection year is 32? So I was in the first house perfection year when I was 36, 4 years back. So that would make 35 the 12th, 34 the 10th, 33 the 9th, 32 the 8th. 8th house perfection year, the publication was accepted widely. So what would maybe the ruler of that 8th house for publication widely accepted, it perhaps is maybe ruler of the 8th and the 9th, maybe ruler of the 8th in the 11th or the 10th. I don't think it's the 3rd, because 3rd is like, it's not like a book or something. Okay. And he set out a cosmology that includes the union of general relativity theory and quantum mechanics. So united general relativity theory and quantum. When I think about quantum, I always think about light, and also the general relativity theory is something approaching the speed of light. So I would expect Sun, Leo, or the Leo Aquarius axis to be in such a position when one of them is either in the 12th or in the 8th or in the 9th, but I believe it's usually the 12th where we get our ideas from, and then the 9th is kind of like where we ground it, we learn about it, we teach about it, but I'm getting that the 12th. So it can be, or it can also come from the sun, because that's light. With Copernicus, the heliocentric paradigm, the heliocentric hypothesis that the cosmos revolves around the sun, he had Leo in the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. Feynman also, he did, He also did, he did light work, which is ambiguous. You know, it also had light work in terms of physics and light work in terms of spirituality. And he also had Leo in the ninth. So that would be interesting. I did not do Einstein yet, but that would be interesting. Something to do with the sun, something to do with the light. I hope I remember all of my predictions. I should write them down. Achieved success. Okay. In popular science. So for me, when a person goes to popular science, it means he goes to the 11th. That's the ones we hear about. So definitely prominent 11th. It can also mean a prominent 10. It could also mean, prominent 10, but it can also mean like a Rahu in 4th in a way, because it kind of teaches you the basic stuff. It kind of makes the big science elementary. And I think for Feynman, we had the Rahu in the 4th, which was in Sag. Yeah, I don't know, but definitely something with the 11th, I would expect to see there. Okay. And then his book was a fellow of the Royal Society. So, you know, definitely well aspected son here. Well aspected son. He also came from a family of professionals, of doctors. I don't know what would I see in the chart. But definitely some good aspects to the sun. Maybe sun dignified, maybe sun in the ninth, where it is in his joy, life of the Pontifical Medal of Freedom, highest civilian award in the United States. Now, the United States is a Cancerian country. 1942, he would probably be a Pluto in Cancer. So that might make him another Pluto in Cancer in the 11th. I don't know, or in the 10th. I don't know, like Cancer in the 10th. I don't know. Yeah, highly ranked. Died at 76 after living with motor neuronal disease for over 50 years. So his disease was chronic disease. Something chronic, I would expect Neptune there. Like it can be something like a personal planet contacting, I don't know, a Neptune aspect to Uranus, and then that aspecting Mercury, for example. Or it can downright be Mercury harshly aspected by Neptune and by Saturn. You know, Saturn can also make something long-term or chronic, and also Neptune. So we had family life, secondary school, graduate years, career. Okay, I'm not going to go deep into perfections. I'm just going to try and look what happened when he was 32. Marriages, disability, plans for a trip to space. Sorry, folks, I'm not going to go into his intimate lives. I did that with Feynman and it got too detailed to my opinion, but I don't want to take that episode off. I just want to learn from the things and correct them. So, late 2006, he wanted to travel to space with Richard Branson. He offered him a free flight to space. Richard Branson, yes, another interesting character. Definitely bright energies, definitely energies that need some taming, I guess. Being very elegant and diplomat in my phrasing. And Hawking accepted. So he was motivated by the desire to travel to space. What would it be? You know, travel to maybe Uranus in the ninth. I don't know. Travel to space, Uranus in the night, maybe Aquarius in the night. Of course, all of these predictions cannot coincide, but I'm just, you know, I'm not comprising a whole chart of the person. I'm just saying the possibilities that I could see there. Some of them would be correct. Some of them contradict each other. So this is not a whole theory. Yeah. 2007. Okay, he experienced weightlessness. Okay, the groundless. Okay, he had a hard time with being ungrounded because before you fly to space, you have to experiment with not being in the same gravity as we have on Earth. And his experience of being ungrounded, okay, it was a successful experiment. Oh, okay, now I understand. So commercial flights to space did not commence before his death. So he did not get to fly to space. His death, I will read his death, but I will not predict anything because I don't want to get into the astrology of death. It may come to me, you know, I may realize things without asking to or even wanting to. He died at 76, March 2018. He's said to have died peacefully, was eulogized by figures in science, entertainment, politics, and so on. So well remembered, of course, way after his death. So perhaps, you know, that can also be a ruler of the 8 and the 11th. You know, the 8 is like death, and the 11th is is the place where we get public. So it can be 8 and ruler of the 8 in the 10th, where you're known even after your death, or in the 11th. Okay. Had a private funeral. Oh, that's interesting. I think we have enough predictions. Let's see. His equation, most remembered equation, was on his gravestone. The Bekenstein-Hawking entropy equation. Oh, you wanted the Bekenstein-Hawking entropy equation to be his epitaph. So this is, let's look into this because that can be okay. So second law of thermodynamics requires black holes have entropy. Violet, okay. The increase of the entropy in the black holes compensates for the decrease of the entropy carried by the object that was swallowed. So with entropy, I always get confused. Yes, if it measures the spreading of matter, if it measures the order of matter, that's what I get confused by. So the state of disorder. So it yes, it. It measures the state of disorder. So I would figure it measures the state of the spreading of matter, because when matter is spreading, then it is less orderly. It's a yin state. But you can, I could definitely come off as really stupid, and you can correct me here if I presented it wrong. I think we have enough for predictions. Let's go to the chart. So Stephen Hawking, I'm doing whole signs. I don't know about asteroids that could make him, I don't know about asteroids that could make contribute to disability. Yes, I always have this habit of putting true Lilith there. But let's look at it. Okay, that's the chart. 9th house in Gemini, 10th house in Cancer, 11th house, oh, is it Pluto in Leo? It's not a Pluto in Cancer. 12th house in Virgo. Look at those beautiful trines. So it has an Earth trine, two or three Earth trines, 2 or 3 Earth trines. Yes, ascendant in Libra, Juno in Scorpio, 4th house in Capricorn. He has a sun in the 4th, next to Athena Pallas, next to Mercury in the 4th. No, that's unexpected. Look what he has in the 8th. Oh God, he has Uranus in the 8th in Taurus. And yes, he was born in 42. Uranus was in Taurus in 42. We all remember what happened in those years. Saturn in the 8th. So Uranus space. Where is light though? Because the sun here is in the 4th in an earth sign in the 4th. What's it doing in the 4th? Where is Leo? Leo in the 11th and the sun in the 4th. Ruler of the 11th in the 4th. You know, the 4th is also the motherland, so he could be honored by the motherland publicly. That can be that. Where is the moon in the 12th, so ruler of the 10th in the 12th. Ruler of the ascendant, that's Venus. Venus in the 5th in Aquarius. Aspect in the 9th. I can think when I see, you know, Jupiter in the 9th. So Jupiter in the 9th, although it's harshly aspected by the moon, Jupiter in the 9th definitely gives us a person who shines in higher learning, philosophy, whatnot. And Jupiter, you know, it is the philosopher. Where is Rahu? Rahu in the 12th. Rahu in the 12th we also had with, I think we had this with Marilyn Monroe, and I think we had this with Georg Kreisler. Rahu in the 12th, a person that can be tapping into that which is collective unconsciousness, that which is like exploring the void, exploring, you know, space. It's like the 9th because we travel to learn about space, but space it can also be the 12th. So it's Virgo there. He did not end up in space, but, you know, wanting to travel to space. Rahu there, you know, wanting to travel to space, being hungry to travel to space, it can definitely be the 12th. And we have Virgo there. What? Virgo, you know, Virgo definitely gives us attention to details. But look, he did such big things, and Virgo is kind of looking at the small things, you know, it is ruled by Mercury, looking at small things and dissecting them. But he was looking at small things in space, no, dissecting space, like point of singularity. Point of singularity emits energy. Where's the ruler of this? And the ruler is in the 4th, Mercury in the 4th. So Mercury, okay, so no, Mercury is opposition by Pluto. So definitely Pluto is impaired. Okay. Pluto is definitely impaired by, Pluto is, I'm sorry, causing trouble to Mercury. And Mercury is also troubled by Mars. And that's, I don't think that's enough to cause something in the nervous system. And when I look at the moon, yes, it's in the 12th, and Jupiter is not exactly has the power to do something. Rahu, if it was Keto, maybe, but Rahu, you know, not enough to cause something to the nervous system. chronicle stuff. Neptune, look at how well aspected Neptune is. So yeah, I can't say for sure that I understand what went on with his nervous system. Uranus is so well aspected, you know, the angle to Venus. What else could be there? You know, Aquarius, part of fortune in Aquarius. Come on, Venus in conjunct the moon. Ceres there. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to see the nervous system issue in the chart. And look, its Chiron is in the 11th in Aries, first in Libra, and Venus is not the best aspected, but wouldn't necessarily say that the ruler of in conjunct the moon. I don't know. Maybe you know the ruler of the first in conjunct the moon, that is in the 12th, and Mercury, you know, opposition in Pluto. I have Mercury opposition in Pluto. Mercury square Mars. No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't want to say something that I don't think that is enough to cause something in the nervous system. So feel free to add information and look at the chart. Tell me, where would you see his nervous system issue that turned into a bodily issue or impairment? Yeah, Saturn in Taurus in the 8th. So 9th house, Gemini, definitely a person of ideas, intellectual stuff, can contradict existing paradigms and be successful at it. Look at Jupiter. Jupiter also receiving a nice angle from Venus, so it can make the person draw elegant equations, elegant theories. And what did he want to do? He wanted to unify quantum mechanics and general relativity theory. So he wanted to unify things, creating cohesion. Stealing from someone, but I love this word, cohesion. It's so perfect. It's also taken from physics. So creating cohesion, this is what Jupiter does, which is interesting because it's in Gemini, which creates polarity. So perhaps being able to contain polarity within this cohesion is something very beautiful about this Jupiter in Gemini, although it's not feeling the best, I think, in air signs. So that could be nice. 10th house in Cancer. So Cancer is kind of a familial, connection-y sign. The moon is in the 12th. So with the moon being there, the ruler of the 10th in the 12th, you know, it can mean some losses to the reputation of a person if he doesn't deal with the 12th correctly. For example, you know, it can detract from the 10th, but if a person correctly deals with the 12th house and taps into the 12th house and owns the 12th house, then it can create beautiful flow of energy between these two houses. And so that can definitely make the person a part of our collective unconsciousness. A part of what we collectively, the collective paradigms. I think the paradigms that people create are best seen, always have something to do with the 12th. It's a very premature, you know, I did not even have 30 charts yet analyzed, but that's something I would say, you know, as a start, it kind of jumps into my mind. And Cancer, you know, public reputation, being liked, feeling connected with the public. You know, definitely we can see Uranus making a beautiful trine to Mercury, beautiful trine to the moon. So the moon, Mercury, and Uranus, we can definitely see how Uranus technology aid in mercurial stuff, the nervous system, through technology. And why the cheeks though? What is the cheeks? He used something that connected with the muscles of the cheeks. No, I don't see Mars there. You know, Mars is harshly aspected to Mercury, so maybe that has something to do with that. You know, yeah, Mars is happy in Aries. It's in the 7th. So that can mean power struggles with others, with one-to-one figures, maybe other thinkers even. What else do I see here? How is Saturn aspected? Retrograde. Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde. Jupiter retrograde planet gives results later in life. And we saw that in the beginning, people did not accept his theories but about gravity emitting light. But then as he turned 32, it was already accepted. So Jupiter usually matures at 16, but with the retrograde, it takes a while to bring results. And as at 32, it would be an 8th house perfection, and he would have Saturn in the 8th house and Uranus in the 8th house. So definitely a theory about space. Yes, materializes. 8th house perfection year is ruled by Venus in the 5th, which connects with the 9th. So it is interesting. It's a long shot, but you know, when we have a perfection year activating, it's here the 8th house, which is what he where he tapped into some of his theories, the theories connecting to space, you know, general relativity theory, quantum mechanics, in general research activated. It's harshly aspected by Venus actually, but still look, it goes perfection year, okay? Perfection year to the ruler aspect in the 9th, and the 9th can be publication of something that is widely accepted. That's a long shot, but I'll give it to him. Look at the MC. The MC is in the 11th. That's interesting. I mean, we usually see MC like in the 9th, in the 10th, but here the MC is in the 11th. The midheaven is in the 11th in Leo. So Leo, you know, I said something with the sun. Leo is definitely, you know, acknowledged by noble characters. In the 11th, became a public figure, acknowledged by noble characters. It is saying to be noble in a way, which is interesting because he also has Chiron there. And Chiron is the heart. You know, I'm sorry, Chiron in Leo, Leo the heart. Very interesting. And yeah, and Pluto in the 11th. Pluto in Leo, harshly aspected by Mars, trine in Neptune. So those were like the interesting stuff. 6th house in Pisces. I wonder what that felt like for him. So another thing with having something like a stellium in the 12th is a sense of isolation. And I can think about, and look, it creates, the moon creates an inconjunct with the ruler of the 1st. What comes to me in mind is confinement in the body. But I don't know if that's a long shot. Confinement in the body, feeling isolated in the body. But look, it goes not directly. Ascendant ruled by Venus in conjuncting by moon in the 12th. Maybe that can be something of the experience he had. And look, the 8th and the 12th, the 8th and the 12th. technology assisting, looking at space and wanting to travel into space, which he didn't get to in his life, but maybe after his life. Here's something I can say in this channel that you can't say on TV when you would interview a scientist. What else do I want to say about this? I'm looking at this Lilith in Gemini in the 9th, and I don't know what to think of it. Anything else I want to know here? What's with the 4th? Sun in the 4th, it's a night chart. That would make the moon important. And the moon is in the 12th. I wonder if I can see his beliefs. You know, with Gemini, I get questioning. So questioning, also the spiritual, perhaps, can be seen here. And Mercury is very grounded. It's in an earth trine, receiving a war zone aspect from Mars. That can be seen here. What else is with the 4th? You know, the sun there. Very interesting. Public figure, ruler of the 11th and the 4th. A ruler of the 4th in the 8th. And the 5th in the 8th. You know, ruler of the 5th in the 8th can mean that what he was doing there in the 8th was fun for him. The dealing with what he dealt, or the discovery he made through the 8th, perhaps were some scientific, were fun for him. So science was fun for him. And both rulers, you know, the modern and the traditional, I look at both. Ruler of the 6th and the 12th, you know, modern ruler of the 6th and the 12th. Modern ruler of the 6th and the 9th. Modern ruler of the 6th and the 12th. You know, 6th is a physical thing, and 12th can be mental, although they are non-dual, so they're interrelated. I can see perhaps how there is a chronic ailment that is both physical and mental, and the ruler of Virgo is the nervous system. So maybe that could mean like a chronic ailment pertaining to the nervous system and the physical body. Okay, with Pisces, we can get something chronic, something that's not easy to diagnose, something that's not easy to recover from. Something that you also, with Neptune, we have loss and we have surrender. So a physical ailment, you need to surrender to. You need to spiritually surrender and accept, radically accept this confinement within the body. So that may be the case. Where he found his resort was studying. And then we see the ruler, the traditional ruler, is in the 9th. So the traditional ruler Jupiter actually can give a person who deals with matters of the 6th, perhaps the ailment, through matters of the 9th, perhaps learning, inventing, creating. That can be the case. So yeah, that's what I gotta say about him. I want to look at his chart again. Yes. Science and philosophy. Said philosophy is dead. and science wins it. He said that philosophical problems can be solved by science that would lead us to a new and very different picture of the universe and our place in it. So religion and atheism. Hawkins was an atheist. He said the brain is a computer which will stop working when its components fail. He regarded, okay, and the concept of afterlife is a fairy story for people who are afraid of the dark. So you know what? He believes there is no God, no one created the universe or the acts of fate, no heaven and no afterlife. We need to appreciate the universe, and he's grateful for that. So he called atheism free thinking. You know, this is a person with an earth sign in the 12th, Virgo, and Virgo dissects things to the smallest detail. And what he had Aries in the 8th. Aries is mind. Is mind. Fire can be intellect. And Virgo, although Virgo can be extremely spiritual. So dissecting things into matter, into small pieces. But what did he have in the night? Gemini, yet another, you know, Mercury ruling the 12th and the 6th and the 9th. So both places where he could get, you know, spiritual avenue were, you know, occupied by signs that are, you know, an earth sign that dissects things, and air signs that contradicts, that is contrary, that is doubting things. But you know, those things could also get to the other, you know, I could definitely see how a person with this chart could actually, in a society that is more scientific, could become religious, because it would be contrarian. Also the ascendant in Libra, that is contrarian. So perhaps it's the zeitgeist, you know, he was contrary to the zeitgeist of his era. Don't forget that it was also after the World War. And I'll speak about it. I want to do an episode about scientific materialism. And I'll speak about it because the war has contributed greatly to us understanding that there is no coherent spiritual explanation to the Second World War that does not degrade humanity to the fullest. There is no logical, there is no spiritual explanation for these world wars that can make one satisfied, in my opinion. You know, any belief that the soul chose this, that people played a movie, that they were not thinking straight or whatever, it doesn't hold waters. That was not the era for spirit of matter. But we don't want to get stuck there. We want to go through this. We want to allow for this integration, cohesion of spirit and matter in a way that supports us and nourishes us. This is, of course, me, not Hawking. So he was a humanist. Humanism, basing the cosmology of humanism is people-based rather than God-based. Okay, that's the concept of humanism. Although the roots of humanism are religious, Kant was the beginning, I think, of humanism, and Kant was a priest. K-U-N-T. Yeah. Okay. He said, before we understand science, it's natural to believe that God created the universe. But now science offers a more convincing explanation. what I mean by we should know the mind of God is we would know everything that God would know if there was God, which there isn't. I'm an atheist. You can call the laws of science God, but it wouldn't be a personal God that you would meet and put questions to. Okay, so nothing personal. Yeah, not so water-like. Supporter of the Labour Party. Okay, supported the academic boycott of Israel. It's interesting, very lefty, right? Very lefty. And what did he say about campaigned for nuclear disarmament? So you see, very humanistic. Where would I see lefty? What was his seventh house? Seventh house was Aries. So interesting. Aries is individual. So individual rights. That's interesting. Individual rights. You would not expect, because Aries can be combative, and Mars, they're like very combative person, but he's a lefty. And then, the ascendant in Libra. So I consider the seventh very political, although the worldview of the person and the values of the person is the second. The worldview of the person is the ninth and the 12th, somewhat the eighth too. Scorpionic stuff, the ruler of the second and the seventh. Interesting. Very interesting. What else is there? Healthcare. Okay. Was not against privatizing something. Wanted to keep things for society. Okay, I don't know how to see that. But that's what I got to say about him. Now let's look at my perception of him. So Neptune for him is in my seventh house. It's in Virgo. His Rahu is in my Virgo placement. His moon is in my Virgo placement. He brings Neptune to my seventh. So perhaps this could mean that I can, seventh is the other. It can be the way we see the other, what we project onto other. He brings Neptune to that place for me. Perhaps it means that I could see him in a way that is a bit askew, that I could not really get him, that there could be a sense of disillusionment that it brings to my seventh, that I could project an ideal on him. Yes, of course, it could mean the other person too, but we're not in a relationship. This is pertaining to how am I could possibly be biased when I present this chart analysis to you. So it brings Uranus and in vertex to my third house, Juno to my ninth house, Vesta to my 10th, to my 11th. He brings his Sun, his Mercury, Venus in my 12th, part of fortune in my 12th. For the 6th house, he brings his MC there, midheaven, Pluto and Chiron. And for my home, he brings Jupiter from my 4th house. Okay, nothing too smart to say about it. He brings his ascendant to my 8th house. The Neptune one. So I could be biased here. I could be biased by something that maybe I idealize him, or maybe I misrepresent him in some way. So you should know that. This is also how you would see something like that. Now let's look at the synastry. One last thing. So synastry. Oh, composite. I did synastry. Yeah, composite. just composite. What would we see here? Okay. Pluto, opposition Sun, opposition Mercury. So of course there is a difference in thought. I'm doing a spirit of matter, and this person an annihilated spirit. Maybe I'm mispronouncing that. This is where it shows that English is my second language. An opposing Sun. Yes, definitely a powerful position for a transpersonal to be. Neptune square Moon, again, issues of disillusionment. Neptune square Mars, ascendant in Capricorn. Yeah, so we did Nep. Where's Uranus? Uranus conjuncting Ceres and Mercury. Okay, that's more like it. Again, Neptune, Neptune harshly aspected can create issues of disillusionment, of the truth is not being felt, not being spoken. So that can be a bias. That can be a bias. It comes to me that I did not enter his intimate life by choice, because I don't think it's relevant, which is a good decision because it could be misrepresented, which was not the case with Feynman so much. With Feynman, it's like I think it was not the case so I could speak about his stuff. Yes, that is all I have to say about Stephen Hawking. So I can say it wasn't a clear chart for me. It was an interesting experience. It took me a bit of a while. You can see the thought process going here. You can see, when I'm first being exposed to a chart, you can see just looking at it, and sometimes something just jumps right through, and sometimes it is not as easy. And you have to either try, you have to make connections, but also make sure you make sure you don't connect things that are unrelated, which you can't always make sure. I'd be happy to look to hear your input on what could cause his disability. Maybe more into his political statements. What else? That spirit is dead, that science is dead, is the answer for spiritual stuff. 8th house in Taurus, very practical. Also, we saw this with Feynman, 9th house in Taurus. He said, I don't know what's the meaning of all of this. I can appreciate the universe for what it is, the beauty of the laws of the universe. And that was a very beautiful statement by Feynman. And we can see something like that reiterated. It's like the ability to look into the beauty of science kind of in itself makes perhaps life worthwhile in a way that perhaps he could explain things. He went so deep into science that he felt it could explain things that are spiritual to him. With Feynman, it's interesting because Feynman did go, he took psychedelics. I did not speak about his ascendant. He took psychedelics. He was experimenting with alternative states of consciousness. I can say when I did energy and cord release with Feynman, I have never seen that much light. And my shaman friend told me he just loves these processes. So if you're into channeling and you're into Feynman, as long as you keep, energetic boundaries and you ask for permission and you do things correctly, he's very happy to experiment with that. He's very happy to experiment with spirit. He's very happy to go through shamanic processes. He loves these things. I did not try to do anything with Stephen Hawking. I'm not a shaman myself. So I remember I saw him in green. So green light is very beautiful, something very healthy. So when I'll get money, I'll probably try to see if there is energy cleanse and soul retrieval, and then I can get something about maybe something about him. It would be interesting to contact or to try to contact or channel an energy um, from the afterlife when the person in his life did not believe in afterlife. So I'm very curious about what would I see there, but I need money um, to do that. I'm back to student mode, and it's so exciting to be back to student mode because I'm wealthy in love, I'm wealthy in heart, I'm wealthy with passion, I'm wealthy with curiosity, I'm wealthy with joy and happiness. I might not be the richest in the world, but I'm very shining. And also, I want to say something. Yeah, perhaps I would not say it in a snippet. I would say it here for those who watch me. What I do in my clinic, in my practices, is actually to heal people. And I also get to heal people who come from scientific fields. I also get to share advices there. I also get to heal people, contributing their healing of people who are healing from like extreme, complex PTSD, dissociation. I'm not the only person in there, but I can give an input, I can give support with my tools. And what's important for me is that I shine here so that when I'm with my clients, the energies of the ego are channeled to spirit of matter and not to my clients. I'm not creating a client. I'm not creating my patients. I'm not recreating. I'm not rearranging them. There's this beautiful song by Erica Badu, Who Gave You Permission to Rearrange Me. I might do an episode on her. Who gave you permission to rearrange me? Certainly not me. So I'm not doing these mistakes with my clients because I am channeling this energy into spirit of matter. So any sense of connection I get here, any support I get here, any money I get being supported for this project is very helpful for me, not only to do spirit of matter and to shine and to be happy, but also to be a better healer, to be a better health practitioner, to be with my clients when I'm with them, and totally respect and not interplay, because in the clinic they are the creators, they are the alchemists, they are the players in their lives, and they receive the joy and the sense and the tools to be creative again, to have that sense of creation, that sense of joy, and to reconnect with that and to create with that, and to grow and learn about themselves with that. And here is where I am the alchemist. So that makes it more harmonized. And I would advise any healer and any practitioner, create something that is yours. Shine also outside the therapy room. Shine also outside of your one-to-one placement, especially if you have transpersonal planets contacting personal planets. I have Uranus in the 10th opposition in my Juno. I have Pluto in the 9th opposition my Mercury and Venus. I have Neptune in the 11th. Look where all the transpersonals are so public. I have to be public figure. I have to be public. I have to go transpersonal. I cannot confine myself to one-to-one relationships, because otherwise these energies is too much energy to put into one person. If you are a healer, if you are a practitioner, make sure that you don't put all of your energy into these one-to-one relationships. With me, it is extreme, but with others, it can be that people will tend to try to control, manipulate, project, change the person in front of them instead of actually allowing that person to reveal. There's this song that said, "Your children are not your children. They're born with like their own souls and their own life, but you just watch them. Of course, your patients are not your children. You should never think that. Um, but it is watching another soul come into the world and evolving, and just nourishing it with some tips of practices, with some things you're guided to say, um, being very tender about it. You don't fix your client. They don't need fixing. You just give them tools that they can create with, that they are merciful and forgiving, and allow for making mistakes without um, with the sense that you can't get it wrong and you never get it done. This is something I took from Abraham Hicks, and I might not agree with everything they say, but the sense that you can't get it wrong and you never get it done. It's not always true. You can get it severely wrong and you can definitely get it done in some cases. But when you give people these tools where they can be creative, um, everyone benefits from that. And this is a medicine that is not the knife. Sometimes people get to the knife. They need the knife. If a person needs to go through a heart surgery now, I'm not the one. They need the knife. But sometimes a person needs air, needs joy, needs flexibility, needs, tender alchemy. And that's my place. So doing these episodes of Spirit of Matter allows me to be a better healer when I'm not here. So if you like this content, please subscribe, click the bell so you get all the notifications, because subscribing is not enough on YouTube anymore. Do like this video if you like it, because it helps the algorithm, and comment. Commenting also helps the algorithm. So this is a request. If you like this video, comment. Also, I want to hear from you. I want to connect with you. I see, some people viewing. I see some viewers, some watchers, and I never know, do they like it? Do they want me to do something more? Do they have suggestions? Don't be afraid to leave a comment. Don't be shy. I'm seeking to connect with you, and I'm seeking for your kind and considerate and tender input. So this can be a place where I get to connect with people through the 11th. So I'll see you on my next Spirit of Matter episode. It has been lovely. It has been a lovely experience. I did not know so many things. I discovered so many new things. Sometimes you even look at the person you know a little about, but when you actually go through the reading again, then you think of more and more and more stuff. And then maybe that will, I will think about this chart, and maybe I will get more insights on the weekend. And I'll see you in my next Spirit of Matter episode. Bye-bye.